Welcome to the Freedom Camp Podcast, rooted in truth, growing in freedom, and built on the belief that you weren't meant to grow alone. Each week, I'll share honest stories, insights, and simple questions to help you explore the unseen things that keep you from living in the freedom that's already yours. And take brave, intentional steps toward the life you were made for. This is your space to reconnect with your authentic self and grow in freedom on purpose. Today on the Freedom Camp Podcast, we're talking about the kind of rest that changes how you live, not just how you sleep. Because if sleep alone gave us the rest we need, more of us would be thriving. By the end of this episode, you'll know what kind of rest you actually need right now, and you'll have one simple plan to practice it this week. Plus, we're going to anchor all of it in something small but powerful that came up in Freedom Camp this week. The perfect visual for rest, a Selah pause. When we talk about rest, most of us think about sleep. But rest is so much more than just sleep. Rest is your nervous system's ability to relax and let God be God. Or in the vernacular of today, rest is the ability for your nervous system to be in a place of stand down, to be in a place of rest and digest. So not fight, not flight, not fawn, not freeze, and I think there's a fifth F now too. And the reason for that is because there's an internal shift that goes on when you're talking about resting, genuine resting. So the shift is from bracing to being to trusting. Because if you don't feel safe internally, externally, or even emotionally, you can be still and you cannot actually be resting. Like you can be on the couch, but your mind is problem solving. Or you can be in bed, but your body is braced. Or you can take a day off and feel just as exhausted as if you'd worked all day long. So the real question isn't just, are you resting? The real question is, do you feel safe enough to receive rest? And that changes everything. When I talk about safety here, what I'm really talking about isn't just the imminent threat, like your house isn't on fire, nobody's, chasing you. There's also, I'm learning and still have a lot to learn about the subtle undercurrent of safety. Are you safe with yourself? Do you honor your own word to yourself? Do other people treat you in a way of respect, for example? When you share a boundary, do other people even acknowledge it? And by boundary, I actually mean boundary, not a rule or an expectation. Are you heard? Are you seen? Are you known? All of these things and many, many more can connect to a sense of safety. And a lot of it comes from trusting yourself. And a lot of it also comes from like the logical things, are you on fire? Is there, somebody chasing you? Those types of things as well. Also, if you're interested in more about safety, let me know in the comments. I really could do an entire podcast on safety alone. I'm realizing as I'm ad-libbing this at the moment. Also wanted to talk about the 4 different kinds of rest. So there are probably more than 4, and depending on who you ask, what those 4 are. in my world, in Freedom Camp, we break things down by mind, body, soul, and spirit. And so I'm simply doing the same thing with rest. It makes sense to me. This is just my way of doing it, though. I'm not claiming this is the way. So there's physical rest. Physical rest is what we usually think of, like sleep, or a rest day. Like if you're weightlifting or something, you're going to take a rest day. This is letting your nervous system downshift. This is where digestion and detox happen. And it's like, I'm going to sleep type rest for the most part. Then there's mental rest. Mental rest is like if you think of, your phone or your computer with all the tabs open. Mental rest is like, let's close out the tabs. We're not doing problem solving. We're not doing input, like taking more in. Maybe we're like not listening. We're not doing problems after 9:30 at night or 7 o'clock at night, whatever. It's letting your brain stop arguing cases in an imaginary court. Spiritual rest. Spiritual rest is surrender, trust, it's Sabbath rhythm, it's not striving, it's believing that God is working even when you are not. And then there's emotional or soul rest. And that gets back to feeling safe. It gets back to a place of not performing. It gets back to a place of not managing everyone else's emotions so that your emotions and your nervous system can be regulated. So I'm curious, out of these four, which one are you most deprived of right now? And this isn't like an overthink. This is like just go with your first answer. If you're somewhere that you can jot it down, do so. Or you can put it in the comments below. If you are not sure and you're not necessarily like connecting with one, maybe you're connecting with several or all of them, no worries. In just a minute, when we do our application exercise, we are going to be able to pick one to start with and then go from there. So one of the cool things that happens each week in Freedom Camp is I will have a body of material that we're going to explore together. And I never know how it's going to go. And I never know what's going to come up. And this week, what came up, several things came up, but the one thing that I wanted to bring up in this podcast is this beautiful image of what rest really is in the big picture. And so what rest really is in the big picture is Selah, meaning that pause, that moment in music that's not the end of the song, but it's the pause that's keeping time. And it's the pause that keeps the rhythm going. And that without the rest, the music could just become noise. And so in Psalms, oftentimes, they will end, or sometimes even in the middle, with a word Selah. And depending on who you ask, we don't know what it means. We do know what it means. What I have learned it means is to pause, to breathe, and to let that sink in. Like marinate on that. Think on that for a minute. Give it a beat. And so the Selah pause, when you're talking about rest, is what interrupts our autopilot. It invites God into the moment, and it helps to keep the rhythm of your life aligned with God and with what God is doing in and through your life. So rest isn't quitting, it's keeping time. And it's staying in a place of connection with God and with what God is doing. So I wanted to take a moment and look at, practically speaking, what this Selah pause could look like. And I thought we'd practice it together. So if you're driving or doing something, washing knives in the sink, stay awake, stay alert, keep your eyes open. If you're somewhere quiet, though, and you can close your eyes, you can put your hand on your heart, put your hand on your belly. By the way, we don't need to do any of these things to hear from God. And that said, sometimes it can be helpful to do some type of touch that helps you to bring it back in and to kind of block out the external distractions. So want to do a nice slow inhale. And then a long exhale. And again. And now I want to invite you to ask God, what kind of rest do I need today? And just sit with it for a moment. And just listen. And just be. Don't force it. And whether you heard anything or not, then ask, what's one small way that I can trust you enough to pause? Or maybe feel safe enough to pause. And remember, the pause, we're not overhauling our lives. We're not redesigning our calendar. This is like a small way, a small thing. Maybe you're going to go to bed 15 minutes earlier tonight. Maybe it's no problem conversations after X time. Maybe you're going to go for a walk. Maybe you're going to not answer a text message until your body and your nervous system have regulated. And then you're just going to notice what your body does with that. Like, oh, what's that feel like? What's the thought of going to bed 15 minutes earlier feel like? Or maybe you're just going to look out the window, like do nothing, whatever it is. It's about just noticing it. And if you didn't get anything clear, you can ask again later. Or you can go back to the last thing that God told you to do that you haven't done yet, in case that's ever something that's happened to you. So, Sabbath as a form of rest is not an accident. And that's the other part of this rest conversation. We often don't accidentally have a restful day. We prepare to have a restful day. So if you want a calm day tomorrow, what can you do to set yourself up for that today? And a real simple framework is prepare, protect, and practice. So prepare. What can you set up today so that rest is possible tomorrow or later? How about a simple food plan? Maybe you're going to do your chores earlier. Maybe if you live with a group of people or your family, you're going to have a discussion about dispersing more of the chores among everyone so that you don't have as much to do. Maybe you're going to set a bedtime alarm, not a wake-up alarm, a bedtime alarm. Maybe you're going to do the no problem talks after X time. Preparation is a way to set yourself up for success. It's not legalism, it's wisdom. It's thinking, for example, if you want to have a good morning, the best way to do that is to set yourself up the night before. Go to sleep on time, lay out your clothes to work out, or your Bible, or your whatever it is. Set yourself up ahead of time. So then protect. What's the boundary that's guarding this rest? Maybe it's no errands, unless errands feel restful to you. I was just talking with my son this morning. One of the most restful errands for me to run is to go and get milk from a neighboring farm. I'm like, twist my arm, sure. On the other hand, going grocery shopping is not really what I would consider restful. Library is also, I love going to the library. Maybe you want to do something totally different. Maybe you want to think of like a screen-free block of time. Maybe from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., no screens. Maybe you want to do a calendar margin. Maybe every day you want to give yourself 30-minute buffer to do whatever you feel like in terms of rest. And then another protection idea, maybe you want to turn off notifications. So lastly, the P for practice. So what will you actually do during your rest? Maybe you're going to read scripture. Maybe you're going to write a devotional. Maybe you're going to walk outside. Maybe it's creative time. It's nap. Maybe it's quiet time. Maybe it's soaking, turning on some worship music and just soaking in it. Rest isn't just what you are not doing. It's also choosing what you are going to do. And it can look different for each person in your home. So what restores one person might totally drain another person. And that's okay. As we grow in freedom, we want to have the freedom to rest in the way that makes sense to us. And we want to give that freedom to those that we live with and love. And not make everyone receive rest the way that maybe we receive rest. An ongoing example that I use for this, a dear friend of mine, one of her favorite things to do for rest is to go and get her nails done. Well, more power to you. I don't want to do that on any day ever. And it's definitely no part of that is restful in any way, shape, or form for me. Well, great. So I'm not going to go get my nails done, and she is going to go get her nails done. It's own it. It's okay. Whatever is rest for you, you do you. And then let other people do themselves also. And that's really where everyone's getting the fullness of rest and the fullness of freedom. So to close us out, just a kind of a summary here. So this isn't like a test. This isn't a off on. You rest, you don't rest. It's a spectrum. It's a practice. And it's another one of those every step counts. So it's not like you have to master Sabbath this week. It's not like you have to have perfect sleep hygiene. It's not like you have to get all four types of rest. Maybe you're going to spend a few months on just one type of rest and kind of get your feet under you and kind of shore it up in that one area. And then maybe you want to add another one in. And then after that one gets good and shored up, maybe you want to add another one in. So my encouragement is to pick just one, meaning like maybe one Selah pause each day, or maybe one Sabbath prep move, like a bedtime alarm or a simple meal plan, or maybe one boundary that's going to help protect your nervous system. And just try it. There is such a reward in resting. The act of doing it is the reward in and of itself. It's a rhythm of safety, of trust, and of preparation. And remember, rest isn't quitting, it's keeping time with God. And sometimes the most spiritual thing that you can do is to pause. Thank you so much for listening to the Freedom Camp podcast this week. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope that it was meaningful, and I hope that you can apply it to your everyday life and get more growth and more freedom from doing so. As usual, I'd love to hear how it has impacted you, and you can always put that in the comments or reach out to me directly. Thanks so much. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom Camp podcast, where we believe freedom is nurtured from within and grows when you tend to it. If this stirred something in you, let it take root this week and see what grows. And if you enjoyed this or found it meaningful, please give the gift of a review, share it with a friend, and leave a comment below. It helps us build this podcast community because we weren't meant to grow alone.